I'm doing well. I wanted to say hi to our friends in Northern California at EBHRA and welcoming them to your conference. Sorry I couldn't make it, but I did want to say hello and warm hello from your friends here in Southern California and throughout the state. In case many of you may already know this, but I am your president for the California Rental Housing Association this year. We are your advocates in Sacramento. And who are we? Well, you are one of our 9 affiliates. Actually, Wayne Rowland and Jack Schwartz, who are longtime board members of yours, were critical in establishing our rental housing association. We have 24,000 members and we represent over 654,000 units. How are we different than other associations that you might have heard of in the state? Well, in reference to a couple of associations, we actually advocate and lobby on your behalf. The other thing that I think makes us special and different is how we advocate. Really, our association advocates, it comes from the bottom up. It comes from our affiliates and the board members on our affiliates who represent you. Me, myself, I'm a property manager, a property owner, small property owner here in Los Angeles County. And primarily, our board members are similar to you who are attending the conference. And so we vet a bunch of bills each year that we do, and our primary mission really is to advocate for you in Sacramento. And so there are a lot of bad bills this year. I'm sure we can talk a little bit more about that later.
Earl, why don't you take a minute and just describe how the California Rental Housing Association goes about evaluating a bill and coming to a position? What does that look like?
We have a state lobbyist. We actually have 3 lobbyists that work for different associations on your behalf. They track bills when they come out. The bills are taken to what we have, which is a legislative committee, vetted by the legislative committee, put into different tiers for how important they are to the association and our goals and our members' operational lives. And at the point when they reach that tier and we have full bills, we come to an agreement as a state. There needs to be 2/3 agreement. So in other words, 6 out of the 9 associations have to agree to either oppose a bill, to go neutral on a bill, or to support a bill. Unfortunately, that's the rarest of the 3 positions in California. But that's how it works. It's a very democratic process. It's a very bottom-up process. All of our affiliates have representatives on the Ledge Council, all equally represented. And we differ a little bit from a few of the other associations in that way. We are really a bottom-up organization. And I hope that you know that, and your communications from EBHRA, I'm sure you do know that. We really try to represent you. And we do it really, we think, from a very, very local perspective.
Well, Earl, your local association, in addition to your responsibilities as the California Rental Housing Association president, is also AGLA in Los Angeles and Southern California, is one of the largest associations in the state. And so, do you get weighted votes in committee so that your LA association perspective weighs more heavily in the voting process and determining the priorities?
I mean, not at all. I described the legislative committee, but also described the board. Every association has 2 members, 2 votes. It's equal all the way up and down the state. And so everybody weighs in at the same level and from the same position. Do we have some regional differences? We do, but I would say Los Angeles and the Bay Area are pretty comparable with strict rent control and other issues that we particularly deal with. So I say that because there are parts of the state that have really statewide rent control now, 1482, AB 1482 rent control. But there are many jurisdictions that work together in our association who have stricter rent control, as does the Bay Area, as does, you could think of Los Angeles, you would think of Los Angeles, West Hollywood, Santa Monica. And yes, Beverly Hills has strict rent control, believe it or not.
Well, and I think that's enough on the housekeeping. Property owners primarily care about how some of these legislative bills are going to affect the pocketbook. And so, why don't you give us a sense of what some of the key legislative priorities that you're focused on and working on?
Well, I mean, I can talk about some specific bills that we've been working on this year. Unfortunately, some of them keep coming back. But if you want a couple of key victories that we've already had this year, I can tell you, and I know the Bay Area, as is Los Angeles County, is very concerned about TOPA. If you don't know what that acronym means, it's the Tenants Opportunity to Purchase Act, which would give your tenants the opportunity to purchase your building before it went on the public market. As we all know, and we've talked with Derek about this many times. He's very involved in it. That could extend the sales process for 6 months or longer. That did not pass this year. We talk about what we commonly refer to as ban the box, which simply means it would ban you having criminal background checks. That has failed this year. And we also have talked about a statewide rent registry, and that has failed this year. We're working on some other more onerous things. What I would say to you is that our general theme and our general protective theme, and something that we guard with our lives, it's the holy grail of our industry, and that's Costa-Hawkins. For those of you who don't know, it's simply put as vacancy decontrol, which is the lifeblood of rent control jurisdictions. There has been an attack on that this year, and we are still fighting it. It's the Wahab bill, 466, a legislator from your area. We've got some bad things out of the bill, but we still have a lot of work to do on it. There's another bill that would have dropped the rent caps, Durazo bill, 1482 from our area, 567. I don't want to get too in the weeds. We have dropped some of the bad parts of that, including she wanted to drop the statewide rent cap from 10% to CPI or 5%, which would affect many of our members in Los Angeles that have buildings before 1978 and would affect many of your older buildings in the Bay Area as well. That's been dropped down. We have some more work to do on that because she wants to do some things to the Ellis Act, which helps us go out of business when we need to, and to limit some renovation and owner move-ins. We are still working on that as well. There are a couple other bills I can go into if you'd like, but just to start off with that, we're also focused, these are general focuses now, on increasing housing supply. We've been very focused on ADU bills. I know very important in the Bay Area, very important in Los Angeles. By the way, City of Los Angeles has had 15,000 ADUs added in 2 years, we found out from the housing department. So it's a very, very valuable tool for our owners to increase property value and to be able to use that tool as a way to add units. We've been doing a bunch of things with it. There are a lot of technical things, but the main goal is to try to get cities to stop restricting them and to allow them more. We've been supporters of rental subsidies. There are a couple of rental subsidies bills there. We've generally been supportive of that. And we also combat this narrative that many of you already know, and that is that we're out there looking to evict people and therefore cause homelessness. And what I always say is, and what our members say, is that we are not in the eviction business, we're in the housing business. And our goal is to keep people housed, but our goal is also that we need to get paid for that housing, and we need to be able to get paid to pay our bills so we can provide it. And so that's kind of the general overview.
On that, I wanted to touch on one last thing, and we'll let people get back to the rest of their conference. But
Sure, you don't want me to talk more?
well, I know they want to get back to their conference, but there's one issue that you've taken a leadership role on. I want to make sure you get a chance to speak to that, and that'll be it for our time. But in 2018, you fought Prop 10. You fought Prop 21, statewide rent control initiatives, and another one has reared its ugly head is headed for the ballot box in 2024. Is CalRHA prepared to fight this yet again?
CalRHA has already started the process. Unfortunately, we know that it will qualify. What we do know is that we've seen the text and summary that it will be an exact copy of Prop 10 and 21, which is a straight repeal of your right to have vacancy decontrol, whether you have an apartment or a home. And we are ready, willing, and able to engage in that again. We have been very involved in both campaigns, and we plan to be involved in this campaign unfortunately, we have to keep fighting on this issue. Our opponent is the same person, same group that has sponsored the last two, and I guess is not getting the message that the voters of California do not like this and recognize how detrimental it is to housing in the state and housing supply. And most especially for our members, since most of us aren't developers, including myself, being able to manage and run our properties.
Well, Earl, I appreciate you taking a few moments, and I know EBHRA appreciates it as well.
Thank you for your membership. I know Derek appreciates your membership. And I always tell our members, and I want to say the same thing to our friends in the Bay Area, I consider your membership in apartment association insurance. You buy insurance, and in our environment in California, you need to be informed and be a member of your association. So thank you, Derek, and thank you, Russell.